Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. My name is Darren Demas. I am the owner and instructor of Bujinkan Ryoko Hikan Dojo here in Roseville, California. As I've said before, I'm doing these as live videos just because my current technology takes forever to upload a video. So I'm just going to go live. If I misstate anything, then that's fine. But I wanted to hop on here just for a second and talk about ranking in martial arts. So in my other video about politics in martial arts, I talked about how the art that I am in, Bujikan Budo Taijutsu, and how our Grandmaster Soke has arranged this art or set up this art that once you reach certain levels in this art, you can be an instructor. Once you pass this Godan test and everything, and then you get the certificate, and then you choose that you want to be Shidoshi. That's a separate thing. You get that certificate. You can then open up a school or have students, and you can rank them and stuff. But also that comes with that is that you can set up how you want to train and rank your students up to Yandan or fourth dan. Anything above fifth dan, that's a separate thing. But that again leads to an interesting variance in how people approach and teach this art. And we have 9 ranks up to Shodan or black belt, and they're called KYU, and they're typically all, except for white belt, but I mean they're all green belt, and then you get Shodan as black belt, and then there's first dan, second dan, third dan, etc. And some people set up very detailed curriculum requirements for each one. Some people they have very formal testing processes, very strict requirements. And that's one end of the spectrum where it's curriculum heavy. Each rank has set curriculum and you learn it exactly the way that it's done. Then you have on the other end of the spectrum, you have what I call assessments, where there is no actual test per se. It's if the instructor feels that you've put in enough time and effort, your quality has improved and everything, that they can then just give you a rank. Military sometimes call it like a field promotion. You're just, all of a sudden, boom, then you get promoted. Most, I think, are somewhere in the middle, like a hybrid, where maybe they have some kind of idea or maybe a curriculum, but it's not so strict. They make assessments, but also there's some material that you do kind of have to know, and they assess you on that. Majority of people, I think, fall into that. And I know for a long time, and I've been in SART for several decades and stuff, and I've flip-flopped back and forth between curriculum and assessments. There's been people where they've been training hard. I know where they started from. I know that 3-4 months ago, 5-6 months ago, they were here and now they're here, but maybe they don't have all the knowledge, but their movement is just looking so much better. And I feel the urge. I want to recognize that by just awarding them some rank. But meanwhile, at the same time, I also cringe when I see people who have rank that don't even know what some of the basics are, or they don't even know how to pronounce some of the names, or they can't even do certain things. And I don't want any of my students to be that way. I certainly don't want to be that way either. And so where's this happy medium? Well, this is where ranking comes in, because everybody has different ideas of ranking. They have different ideas of what ranking is. And so for those people, as a student, it becomes very confusing, because I think, in my experience, the majority of the people that come to me tell me they don't care about the rank, they just want to learn the art. And I can respect that. But of all those people that said that, I've yet to have one that doesn't show up on the day that I'm doing testing. And I've yet to have one that doesn't accept the rank or end up wanting the rank, because ranking is important in one aspect. It provides some sort of measurement, because that's what we're looking for. We train and we learn things, but we need something that's tangible to understand our progress, because what we see in ourselves is one thing, but we really are looking for an approval from our teacher and even our peers. And this is where ranking can actually become very effective, because whether you do it as an assessment or you do it as a testing with curriculum, it allows the student to be able to have some sense of measurement of where they are. Um, because they come to class and they train on the same kind of stuff over and over again, and maybe they start to feel good about themselves, maybe they're learning a new technique or some different things like that, but they really don't know on that scale as far as where they are, because every student has a vision of what a black belt should be. And usually it's when they come in, they see the instructor, maybe they see, if you have black belts in class, they're looking at those guys, and if they decide they want to stay in the class and train, that's because they've seen that, and they see that if I come in and I do this, I'm going to be able to move like that. And they see that for themselves. That's their measurement. But they need to know where they are along that path. Am I getting closer to that? Or am I just going through the motions? Because I can tell you from my own experience, so many times in my training, I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels. I feel like I'm not getting any better. And then all of a sudden I get a compliment and people go, wow, or somebody says, wow, you're doing really good. You've gotten so much better, or my teacher will tell me that. And that really inspires me. And so ranking does allow for that. Where where you get into some controversy is when whatever value system you apply on your ranking, you try to apply that to other people's ranking. And that's where it becomes really controversial. A teacher will give rank for different reasons, especially in the Bujinkan. Especially in the Bujinkan. People will award rank for different reasons. It's very Japanese to award rank to somebody who hasn't really truly achieved that level, but they know that if they give that person that rank, that person is now going to be honor bound to just kill themselves to try to get to that level, because they're going to be embarrassed wearing that rank and they're still down here in their ability or knowledge. And so they're going to boom, because they don't want to be seen like that. And so that can be used there. Unfortunately, in the West, you have different attitudes about rank. People feel like rank is like the laurels, and they'll rest on that. So if you award somebody a rank prematurely, it a lot of times people will just say, okay, I'm this rank, and then they just assume that, and then they become they build their ego around that, and that's counterproductive. That's where ranking really, in my opinion, the test of ranking is actually what you do when you receive the rank, because the rank itself is a deeply personal thing between the student and the teacher and the art and your peers. And I did another video about relationships, the 3 kinds of relationships in martial arts. And if you haven't seen it, go back and see it, because I really talk about that. The relationship to your teacher, relationship to your art, relationship to yourself. And that really, I think, factors in here, because when you get that rank, when you receive that rank, it challenges all 3 of those, or it shines the light on all 3 of those. And the ranking itself kind of becomes its own living thing. And that's where things can get really weird. But at the same time, that's where things can really get powerful, because if you see that rank as something that you're proud of, or that you really don't feel that you totally deserve, that character trait's going to come out in you, that you're going to push yourself to be that. I have friends that are in, I'm going to use the example, I have friends that are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they talk about how they don't want the next rank up yet, because they don't feel that they're there. They don't want that responsibility to be seen as that black belt or brown belt. So they're going to keep training harder and harder, but then their peers or their instructor says they're sandbagging because they're competing at a lower level, but their skill level is at a higher level, and so they call it sandbagging. But I get the idea. It's that if you take on that new rank, it's suddenly you're like standing among all these guys that have the same rank, and you don't feel like you're at their level. That can be really intimidating or really scary, or you don't want to be seen as prideful. I mean, there's all these things that can come into play. And that's why the ranking itself can kind of take on its own life. Where on the opposite side of me saying rank matters, rank really doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, what are you trying to achieve? Why are you there in class? Are you there because you want a brand new certificate? Are you there because you want another stripe on your belt, or a different color belt? Or are you there because you're trying to learn the art? Are you there because you're trying to get good at something and learn something? So I think I think if you approach ranking as, again, something personal between you and your teacher, and you really look at ranking as a tool, it's a tool. It's not a life of its own. This belt, if I let it go, it goes like this. So the only way this rank stays up is if I hold it up. So what you put into this right here is what gives it life. So if you get a belt or a certificate, cool, accept it, be proud of yourself for it. Yes, you can be proud of yourself without being egotistical. Be proud. You're being recognized. If you don't feel adequate, that's okay. I don't. I don't feel adequate. There's so many times I feel like I just started all over again. Even right in the middle of class when I'm teaching and I'm trying to demonstrate something and I'm looking at myself and I'm like going, oh gosh, but maybe the students don't realize it, but I look at videos of myself and cringe all the time because I'm still a student. And I think that's the most important part. You have to realize that you're in a process. This is a process. It's not a, I'm here and I'm going to be here and you just jump and boom, you're here. It's a process that you go through. It's an evolutionary process. And ranks, in my opinion, are not here, 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 here. Strict curriculum standards, maybe that might imply that, but really ranking is really like, it's like this. It's like the colors of the rainbow. You see separate colors, but really, if you really break down those colors, they really are just a process of moving away from one color and into the next color. And the majority of that space is a blend of those two colors. There's only one little finite point where it's a pure color. The rest of it, it's a blend of the two colors. And I think ranking is the same way. So whether, no matter what rank you are, black belt, green belt, whatever, rainbow belt, whatever, camo belt, it doesn't matter because you're not in you're not in this space right here. You're in between. You're always in between. You're in between these ranks. And where you are in between these ranks, that's a variable because if you just base it on quality, there's times where your quality is going to be good. You come to class, you perform well, things are going great, and then there's other times you're not. So there's times maybe you're too stuck in your head. Maybe there's this one little thing that you just struggle with. We're always in this process of back and forth of where we are in between these measurements. So you really can't have a fixed black and white view of rank itself. And as a teacher, I can tell you it gets really tricky when you're trying to evaluate a student because how they are right then could be the best version that you've seen, but you know that like yesterday they were bad, or not, I shouldn't say bad, they were not as skilled, and then tomorrow they come back and you're like, oh, what happened to how you were? But you have to look at things in the overall span. And I think that's where the assessment part comes in. You have to look at the overall span. But what's interesting is if you are a teacher, ask yourself this. The view you have of ranking, do you hold that to yourself as a student the same as you hold it to your students? Because I know for me, I struggled with this, that I wanted to promote my students because I thought they were good and I had a set idea of what I expected from them. But then me, myself, I didn't want to promote because I didn't feel like I was reaching the levels that others were wanting me to be recognized for. And I struggle with that. And so I'm applying an opposite view to my students. And I think that's an interesting dichotomy that you should explore. But this whole idea of ranking becomes controversial when you try to apply your views and your opinions of it onto somebody else. Because you see somebody else achieve ranking and you look at them and you go, oh, how did that person reach that rank? You're applying your view of that onto them. You're applying your view of that onto their teacher. You don't know why that person got promoted. Now, they could be, who knows, maybe they had handicaps. Maybe the teacher's recognizing them for just how much effort they put in. Maybe it's an inspiration rank, trying to get them to promote. Maybe, who knows what it is. But that's between him and his teacher. That's not between you and him. And you can judge all you want. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because the person is still who they are, where they are on their path. And your students reflect you and your value assessments. So if a black belt in your class, in your opinion, is very high caliber, high quality, and you recognize that by giving them a black belt, and you see another black belt from another class, that you look at them and you go, that person couldn't even be a seventh Q in my class. Okay, if they come to your class, make them a seventh Q. There's a story about somebody who was a high-ranking black belt, and they went to one of our senior Japanese teachers' class. And this Japanese teacher is one of the original students of our Soke, and very, very strict teacher, good teacher, excellent teacher, one of the best, good teacher. And his foundation, his ability to just, oh, it's just best. This person went there, and there was some conversation, and I don't know the specifics of the conversation, but it really came down to where that teacher told that person, you would be a good sandan, you'd be a good third degree black belt in my class. And there are people where they would have took offense to that, particularly if they were much higher. They would be offended with that. But this person was so excited about that, the fact that he was recognized by this teacher as a sandan. See, to me, that's the test. That's the character. That's the part about the relationship with yourself, relationship to the art, and that sort of thing. That this person was really excited that under this teacher's standards, and he respected this teacher's opinion so much that that sandan meant something. But there are other teachers that literally hand out rank like candy. There are even senior teachers that have given rank where they've never met that person before, but that person comes in and maybe they're ranked by another teacher at this rank. They come in and they train, and then they go, oh, I think you should be this rank, and just give them this rank. To me, that overrides their learning progress and confuses the student. And I know this is controversial, but in my opinion, that shouldn't really happen. I mean, that should be communication between teachers, because who knows what that teacher is basing that ranking on, and now that student has been elevated in rank kind of outside their learning progression, and that creates some problems. It really does. But on the getting back to the original topic, does rank really matter? Yes, it does. It's the most important thing. That's the least important thing. It's important because of all the things I talked about. How it can inspire you, how a teacher can use it to motivate students, how it encourages you to learn and grow, whether you're curriculum based or concept based, it still gives you some sense of measurement. But why it's not important is because it's it's a personal thing between you and your teacher. You can't place the same value judgments on everybody else that you have, but at the same time, your objective is to just get good at this art. And whether you're a black belt or a white belt or a green belt or whatever, that doesn't change the purpose of why you're in this art. And if the belt becomes more important than the quality and the depth and the width of knowledge and skill, when that belt becomes your focal point, that's where things become problems. So you want to make sure that you still keep your focus on why you're showing up at the dojo. If all you're doing is looking at a list of requirements and trying to master those requirements and get that rank, are you really truly growing? Yeah, your knowledge might be good, but Hatsumi Soke, our grandmaster, said something or wrote something a long time ago where he said that a basic technique, I believe he said omote gyaku, but a basic technique done by a beginner compared to an advanced student, that same technique, you should be able to tell if they're advanced, if they're a black belt, or if they're a white belt, or if they're a green belt, just by that one technique. So does it really matter that they know 100 techniques? Not really, because it's the quality, not the quantity. But at the same time, you want to have tools in your toolbox. If all you have is a hammer, then every problem looks like a nail, but every problem is not a nail. So if all you know is this fantastic Omotegaku and you can apply it with one finger and key balls and whatever else you got, whatever. But if the guy comes at you crazy with a knife and a chainsaw, I mean, so you need to also have that width of techniques, but you need to develop the depth as well. But I think this is why our grandmaster and his teacher Takamatsu Soke emphasized Kion Happo, our 8 basic fundamental techniques, because they exist in all martial arts for a reason. And I think if your approach to training is to work on the most fundamental things and make that your primary focus of training, and then all these other kata techniques and everything that are out there are really just applications of these basics, I think your perspective will be better. Because if you're trying to master Gyokuru kata, let's say, and if you're not in the Bujinkan, just ignore my Japanese, but really just like this one particular lineage that we have, if you're trying to master those first techniques that are listed there, Koku, Renyo, et cetera, that if you know all those techniques, but you're doing them all at the same level, and they just kind of stay. It doesn't matter if you know the first 3, the first 5, the first 7, the first 10, whatever. If it's all the same level as you're learning more and more techniques, are you really growing? You're just adding more techniques to the same level of quality. But if you're learning those techniques and at the same time the ones you have learned are also starting to get better in quality, get deeper, then your width and your depth are growing together. That to me is quality. If you have a student that is growing in their amount of knowledge and at the same time their depth of knowledge, that should be recognized. And that, in my opinion, is where ranking comes in. So that's where you can blend that curriculum versus assessment, because that truly, in my opinion, and in talking to all my other martial arts friends and their arts and stuff, that really is kind of the prime method. It really is. And whether you do something totally different or however you do it, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying this is just based on my experience. And this is kind of the conclusion that I came to. So this is why I have curriculum. I have all these techniques listed for each rank, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not stuck on that. I'm not stuck on that. If the person can do half that curriculum, but what I can see in half that curriculum is so much better than where they were 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, I'm going to recognize that. Will I tell them, hey, you need to also learn this stuff? Of course. But that's going to be their continued growth, because rank is a process. It's not a boom, you're here, now you just focus on this. It's that blend. You're moving out of something and into something. So they're just going to continue to catch up that. But at the same time, that quality is so good, because at the end of the day, your fundamentals are what matter. That's the most important part. All these kata are just applications of those fundamentals. So, because in a real fight, you're not doing kata. In a real fight, you're just trying to save yourself or somebody else, but you're just trying to survive. So you're not going to be doing koku and renyo, etc. You're going to be doing pull out of your butt jutsu in the immediate moment to protect yourself. And maybe it's got blends of your other training. I have several different arts that I have trained in and stuff like that. All that stuff's going to come out. That's why I tell people, if I have to truly fight, to me, my fight is not Bujinkan Budo Taijutsu or whatever. It's Darren Ryu Jutsu. It's going to be all my culmination of my training experience coming out in the moment to save my cookies, because my focus is going to be on that survival. It's not going to be on whether or not I perfect or do a great ski or whatever. That's not my purpose. So it doesn't matter what paper I have on the wall, what belt I have around my waist. At that point, it's going to be, am I going to walk away here or not? So i think we can approach training kind of in that same light, that we can approach training with this idea of gaining knowledge, but also really focusing on enriching that with good fundamentals, strong fundamentals, and then building that richness into what we know, but starting from these fundamentals and then developing outward from there, but continuing to keep coming back and building those, so that it's not the quantity, it's the quality, but at the same time, the quantity kind of grows with that. But that quality becomes the focus. And I think if you apply that same idea to your rank, I think you're going to be okay, because you're not going to be belt chasing. You're going to be looking to whatever rank you are. If you're a first rank, you're going to be looking to want to represent that the best you possibly can. If you're a black belt, you're going to be looking to be the best black belt you possibly can. And that's the most important aspect. And what does that mean to be the best version of that? Right? So where are you placing your value? Are you looking at the black belts that are in class? Are you looking at your teacher? And those are your light posts. Those are the things that guide you on your way. You can have a whole book of curriculum, but you don't really have a guidepost because you need to actually see a living example of that. In my opinion, that's what Shidoshi really means. It means to be a living example of something. And so, which again, as a Shidoshi, I can tell you that challenges me because I'm like, oh, I don't see myself as a living example. But I'm applying my own value assessment on myself. But as a student, you're supposed to be able to trust your teachers and trust who you're following, your senpai, your seniors, and because you're the kohai, you're the junior, so you're following your seniors, and then you're following the teacher, and that's your guidepost. But along the way, you're gonna have ranking that's gonna recognize that. Ranking is like little footsteps that you step on as you're getting there, but it doesn't become a focal point because if you're too busy looking down at what you're stepping on, you can kind of miss that light post, or you could inevitably end up following another light post that takes you somewhere else. And that happens a lot. People chase rank in this art all the time. They do it in other arts too, because this teacher has higher standards and it becomes difficult. They see this teacher who has easier standards over here. They start following that teacher because they want to get that rank. Well, they're looking down at the rank, the stepping stones, the rank, and they see another light post over here that looks better to them, and they just turn and they start going that way. And that's where things get really tricky. But that's where that value assessment of rank overtakes the value assessment of why you're actually in this art. And there are teachers out there that will prey on that. That's happening today. People are stealing students by offering them things. Hey, if in my class you would be, then maybe they're like a second degree black belt, and then this other teacher says, hey, in my class, I can get you to Yondan, you can get and then hey, I actually have permission to give the Godan test, which is something new in Budokan that we have now too, that not just our grandmaster can do the test. Now he has if you're certain rank, certain high level in this art, you can administer the test now. So people can use that as a lure to steal students. So again, that's where it's a test for the student. Where's their value at? Where are they at? Because in my opinion, and I know this is controversial, and I'm trying to keep this light, but I'm going to be very serious for a second. If anybody in my class, in my training, is training with me, and I don't care how long they've been training, I don't care how close they are to me, maybe we're friends, but if they see another teacher and they want to go that, hold on a second, okay, and they want to go that route, I want them to go that route. I don't want them as students. I just don't. And if somebody's coming to me because they know through me they can get some sort of ranking where their current teacher maybe is holding off getting them ranking, I don't want that. And if they're currently training with a teacher for whatever reason and they come to my class and suddenly decide they want to come to my class, we need to have a discussion. And I might even want to talk to their teacher because I don't like belt chasers. I just don't. That's a character trait that I don't find honorable in martial arts. And if you're offended by that, I'm sorry. That's just me and my opinion. You can write me nasty email, whatever. I don't care. But I don't respect belt chasers. I don't respect people who chase titles, who chase uh, any sort of ego-driven fame like that. People that show up to seminars only to be seen at those seminars. They're the ones like they'll show up to in Japan, they'll show up to Soke's class just so they can get a picture with Soke, or they'll go to a seminar just so they can walk in and get all this attention, or whatever, or promote their school while it's somebody else's seminar. That happens. I have zero respect for that behavior. I might still respect the person, but I don't respect the behavior. And that's something I will not allow. And maybe that's why I keep my classes small, because I want to make sure that the people that train with me are people that have a healthy understanding of what it is that I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And if they want to follow me and learn from me, they're welcome to come along. And yeah, I will issue rank, and it could be a form of a test or maybe an assessment at the time or something like that. But I want that dialogue of expectations. I want to be able to have that communication where we can talk about what I think they need to work on, what it would take to get to the next level, in my opinion, et cetera, et cetera. And if they accept that and want to train hard on me, then I'm going to give them that recognition. But if they don't find that suitable, that's okay. There are other teachers out there. I'm not trying to hold on to anybody, and I don't want anybody in my class that has that kind of attitude, because this is a personal mano a mano art. It takes people building connections with each other, and a connection is a link between two people. And if you let other things out there become part of that, then it weakens that connection. I don't want that. I don't want rank to become more important than this connection. So anyway, that's my little soapbox on that. And again, I'm not trying to offend anybody. If you have different views, that's cool too, right? I mean, there's room for everybody's opinions. But I hope you found this video enjoyable. I hope entertaining. Maybe you learned something. If you have some different ideas about ranking and you want to share them in the comments, absolutely, please do. Please subscribe to my channel, like any of the videos that you like. Even if you don't like them, throw a dislike, I don't care. And feel free to share this video as well. People maybe that don't understand ranking, or maybe they're soured, maybe they've had some bad experiences. You can share this video and maybe kind of just remind them that, hey, there's other types of viewpoints out there. Don't give up on martial arts. And that's really kind of the point on it, is that don't give up because you had a bad experience, or because maybe your teacher is using a different value system that you yourself don't like, or whatever. Don't give up. Because if ranking becomes the reason you leave martial arts, again, you've applied a value to a rank higher than the reason you want to be in this art. Let the reason you're in the art be higher than the value you apply in the ranking, and you will grow. And that really is the key essential point to all of it. Ranking is the most important thing that matters the least. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching, and please feel free to drop me comments, but only if they're respectful and constructive. No drama, no name calling. Please don't write me or post comments about how this particular teacher does this. I don't want to name drop anybody. I don't want anybody name dropping anybody. There's all kinds of different people out there. But I definitely encourage you to drop me a comment and let me know what you think. And stay tuned. There'll be more videos coming. So as I always say, stay happy, stay healthy, and no matter what, keep going, keep training, stay strong. Thank you.